It was at this moment Jackson knew. He fucked up.
Okay, this will be the super close-up part of the video. This area that the MDR EX1000 is written on is magnesium that wraps around to here. This part would be like a plastic. The nozzle has a material inside to filter certain frequencies. Again, this is just a close-up portion. Now the nozzle looks long, reasonably, like I mean that much, and that's pretty average. However, the issue with these would be the, look at that. Is that a second vent right there? These are what the close-ups kind of give you. I've never noticed that or seen anybody see that. Okay, now where were we? Where we were was about 6 months ago I had said that I was going to build a unit around Note 4 because it had just an enormous amount of screen area, and I like that. So I thought, I'm not going to go to a DAP that's got some little screen and I got to roll the wheel and I got to, no, I'm not doing that anymore. This is host only. There is no cellular service. There's no SIM card. There's no interference. There's no Wi-Fi or Bluetooth. If I put it in airplane mode, there is no noise that you would get with a phone. So this was bought as a host. And at the time when I bought it, I said I was on the hunt for something, and then I found it. Running it out of a USB custom cable. Somebody somewhere said something about me. I don't even recall what they said, but it was something about ferrite cable, collars, and then I looked at my, this camera, the power cable has a little ferrite thing on it. So, I guess a little bit of data could get lost right there. So, get the ferrite cable collar and slap it over. Does it do anything? I don't know. Sounds nice to me. Does it make a difference? If a couple bits of data get dropped here and there because they say that that's the effect that can happen to USB, and that this will help that not happen, well then do it. So I did it, and to be honest, it looks like a rocket exhaust. And it looks cool. I actually took this to a shop yesterday to retest the Z5, and the guy that looked at it just thought it was the coolest thing he's ever seen. He really, really liked this a lot. He was asking me exactly where I got this cable and exactly where I got this, which was Amazon, and how I was, putting it on the collar and stuff. So the guy was just totally stoked with this. I mean, everything. This cover, that collar, that wire. The guy was just totally stoked. So I was stoked because this is kind of built in my image. It went through many, variations until I finally came to it. One of the reasons that it's in this configuration is so that I can do it like this and use it as a stand also. So if you're looking at it like this, it's double-sided tape that you can't even see. If you can full screen this, you can't see it. It's very, very clean. There's no odd colors. Everything's leather. So this was very important. And I got it done. And it looks nice. It doesn't, it's not coming off at all. And it's easy to use. So I got my thing. The first song I'm listening to is, I don't know if a lot of bass heads even know the song, but it's called Tin Man. It's from America. In this song is a triangle hit, and it's around here. I'd say it's probably around between 7 and 9 kilohertz. The clarity of that triangle It's a very simple instrument, and it's used very sparingly in the song, but it's always clear on a very good system, and it's always not there or very hard to catch on a system that's not good. So that's one, what I call a sonic rally pull. If you got OCD and you're into music mixing, or are a music lover, then you're going to understand what I mean when I say a music rally pull. It's something that kind of grounds you. You can go back to it repeatedly with different gear. So now I'm moving to the next sonic rally pull, which would actually be something that bass heads would be familiar with. And this is Todd Shaw, aka Too Short, and this is a song called Life Is Too Short. And in this song, there is a strong bass, like is typical for him and for this classic album CD. And it's a bass hit. It's got a stand-up bassist, and it's got a guitar. Like that is the bass, and the guitarist, they strum along. Depending on the gear that you're using, the clarity of the guitar, which would be in the mids, a lot of it in the mids, and some of it creeping into the bass, because it's a bass guitar and a guitar. If you've got a very elevated bass, then the ability to catch that guitar is really hard. And there are some items that are off the screen right here that are very highly touted, but they don't play that guitar really well. And I do have a large, bass slope, 3 of them actually, and it still doesn't interfere with the clarity on the set that's right in there. So as you can see, I'm lifting up 3 points, and that would be frequency would be 22 hertz. Frequency would be 55 hertz. Frequency would be 76. Unusually high for me, but it's perfect for these IEM. And that's a big slope. And that guitar and that bass is right here. And this is going to interfere with that, and it always does. And with everything I've ever bought before, the more that I push up the bass, the more that I can't hear the guitar in this track, which is this one. And that's Sonic Rally Pull number 2. And there's one more, and it's the most important one, and it's the one that's making me say without hesitation that this is the finest dynamic driver IEM that I've ever heard in my life. I don't know that there would be a better one, period. I don't care about the price range. OP, Pink Floyd, Dark Side of the Moon, On the Run. Now this is the ultimate, out of your head stage kind of test. There is multiple panning that's going on in this. I've said this in multiple videos. This was done at Abbey Road Studio. It was recorded in Quadraphonic Sound. Alan Parsons was in on the gig. They were just tripping out on tons of, they're not druggy tripping, but they were tripping out on, they were just geeking, like musical geeks, with the coolest studio, with the most gear, and they even requested some, really radical stuff that was so obscure, had been used once for one particular thing, and they mixed it into this. I use this one because there's left, from the back of behind your head on the left side, and it goes around, and then it comes, and it disappears out to the right, and then it comes back, and just comes around the back of your head, and it disappears to the left. And there's one more, and it's just before this thing crashes, which is like some kind of a space vehicle, and usually it sounds like it's coming from slightly left, and then it comes in to the right and explodes. With this set of IEM, it actually sounded like it was coming in directly behind my head, if this was my head, and exploded and off to the left, kaboom, like this. and you're thinking that's over, listening. No, it's not, because if you're comparing different IEMs, I did bass demonstrations with people, and you guys are thinking this is way too much time, and you haven't even showed the IEMs yet. You're gonna get it. People talk about bass and treble and mids, and I'm not sure what they're talking about. And I'm talking to you right now about 3 particular songs and 3 particular points and 3 reasons why I'm saying that these are the best IEMs I've ever heard in my life. I heard a part of this that I've never even heard in my life, and I know that this was mixed in quadraphonic sound, and I know that it's being played back now in stereo because I've got left and right channel. However, this IEM, because of the way it's ported in 2 different spots, the size of the driver, it's fully in my ear, but because it's ported in 2 different spots, it sounds very out of head. I heard this presented in a way that I never heard before, and the left-right switching is really, really clear. And this was I ordered the album, the Harvest Edition, the original press, off of the internet a couple nights ago, and I posted it on the site because I was so excited. I don't even have a record player in Japan. It's in Hawaii when I go back, but my mother had that album and I didn't. I had it in CD and stuff, and I saw that, and I was trying to get an album cover for this, and I instead of clicking on go to image, I clicked a go to page because it was in Japanese, and it took me to an auction for this album, and I grabbed it because I'm in such I'm in a mode that I haven't been in ever since I've gotten into personal audio. So now I'm telling you clearly 3 things. Number 1 is America, and it's a song called Tin Man, and about 20 to 30 seconds in, there's a triangle that comes in. That is very clear on this. The second point I told you, Too Short. Life is Too Short. It's a very bassy song, but in between that, it's got a guitar and a bass, and that is very hard to catch because it's a bassy song. You either got to reduce the bass or you've got to have a good system. I'm not reducing the bass on my slope, which is this. This is playing Pink Floyd now, but I play this for everything, which is the genius of this. I don't need to switch my EQ. Look at that. Whang, that's all kinds of stuff up in the uppers. Look at that, man. Where am I? That's got to be probably time. And it is. So you saw all of that info on the upper end because of this it's uber. So you got Pink Floyd. I'm going in reverse now. Sorry, I just totally lost my focus. You've got the guitar and the strumming of Life is Too Short, which is very hard to catch. You've got the triangle on Tin Man, which is it's not there sometimes. And the louder and more clear it is I'm not doing anything here. Where it is, and it sounds clean and clear. So that was the reason that I decided I don't need to touch the treble whatsoever, because it's already tuned enough. I do need to raise the bass because it's not tuned enough. And Pink Floyd's the ability for the quadraphonic recording that has been turned into stereo, left and right, played back in a way that I've never heard in my life, in ever. This is the Sony EX1000. It's got Comply tips on it right now because the worst part of this by far is the tips. It comes with a bunch of tips, but none of them seem to fit me or other people that have had these IMs. It would be the weakest point of them. We keep the Sony brand in there. It's not like I'm getting paid. These things are 6 years old. This is a diagram of the EX. This 8 basically it's the 750. You can see on the top right there, and then the 1000 is on the left, and you can see that right there. The 1000. This was done by Infidelity. These are absolutely identical, all the way up until 3 kilohertz, and then the EX800 rolls off. It gives it a smooth listen. But I wanted a little more clarity, and this looked like it would have it, and I thought I could boost it because I boosted the EX800s pretty easily using tape. Putting tape on these took the bass away, which was, I was happy about that because it's not the way that I prefer to modify a set. I'd really just like to go with EQ, but the X800 STs have a ST at the end because it's a studio driver, and those are typically very hard to just simply EQ, and that was the case with the 800s. These EQ very easily. That EQ that I just showed you on that track is gonna be played for Too Short, or America, or Pink Floyd. The thing that those three songs have in common is that I'm not changing the EQ for any of them. I don't need to catch the guitar in the hip hop track, which is really hard because of the amount of bass that is in the track. I don't need to push this down. I don't need to reduce it. I've never had a set in my life that I could do that with. These have fantastic sub bass. Their mids are, let's say 800s. Their mids are that. That's what we call an audiophile line. All the way up to 3, there's nothing going on. That's something like you would see on a LCD or something like that, and people would say, oh, that's fantastic. And it is fantastic because I'm raising up the area that's right here. And I'm not doing anything to this. And like a rubber band, if you were to pull this up, you think it would pull the whole chain up. It's actually not doing it, because if it were, I wouldn't hear the guitar in the Too Short track. If I was putting such a boost like that, you would think that it might interfere with that triangle on the America song, or that left and right panning in the Pink Floyd track would be interfered with because I'm boosting so much in the sub bass, and yet it's not doing any of that. I've reviewed a lot of stuff and I've heard a lot of stuff. I've done videos of myself walking around in earphone shops. This is, I've not heard anything like this. This is, cake and eat it too. People say, and I said, to be a bass head, you got to give up sacrifices. And I finally got a set that I don't need to do it. And the amazing thing is that there's threads about this IEM, but there's not been a review. If I saw correctly that item 6 years ago, that is the finest thing that I've heard, because of my OCD and my returning to certain songs and certain points in songs again and again with different IEMs. The Mojo allows me to plug in 2 at the same time. Problem with these is they're 32 ohm, and if I get different impedance, it's going to be a different loudness. So, but I can hear the difference between IEMs. The Arsonics 2.5, if I raise up the bass, that guitar in the Too Short track is gone. That's like a negotiation with myself. I want more bass, but I'm going to have to give that up. And that's got 2 BA drivers. This is a single dynamic 16mm driver. And I'm not sacrificing anything. It's got a huge stage. I don't want to touch the vents with tape or anything because I want to keep the stage. And I don't have to, because I can do it via EQ. I can only do it with Neutron. I don't think that the EQ on Onkyo, and definitely not on UAPP, is good enough. If you're into listening to stuff like Bit Perfect, I still think these would be fine for you, but as a bass head who likes to hear bass elevated in rock and roll and in hip-hop and everything else, but still really wants to catch what's in the mids, obsessively trying to get the mids, and I got him with this one, and I didn't have to do anything special, and I got so geeked I went and bought that album, an original, UK Harvest 1973. I checked all the letters and numbers that are supposed to go with it, and I bought that album. Again, the album that I grew up learning how to read by opening and reading the inner sleeve. I think I'm going to get it tonight, or it's going to come in tomorrow. And it was spurred by this. How much does the Mojo have to do with this sounding as good as it does? I would not underestimate that. Again, this is an item that has not had a review in 6 years, yet a lot of people love it. What is my resume? What have I heard? Hybrids, BA only, $35 stuff, $1,200 stuff, and up. I've not heard anything like this. I've not been as impressed in the audio. The Mojo is the thing. The SC's for bass because they're peerless. The Mojo for detail retrieval, and now this, because that's giving up so much detail. And I'm playing it through this, which is just tuned so incredibly that I can listen to a 1971 rock song, 1973 hard rock song, or 1988, 87 hip hop song with the same identical EQ, and hear them all in the best that I've ever heard them. All three of them using this IEM. So, my mind's blown. And do I wreck this? That's a joke. Of course I do. Is it worth the money? That's a joke. Of course it is. The Z5s cost more than this, and I heard them today. And no, I've owned a couple multiple BA, and they don't sound like this. There's issues with that, and I'm not going to get into this with this video. This is 32 ohm impedance. It's got a 7N OFC LITS cable. It's got two. It's got a liquid crystal polymer coated 16 millimeter driver with 200 milliwatt input. It's got memory wire over the ears. Tip rolling is definitely something you're going to have to do. It's a nice little thing that they put in there with all those tips, but it's not good enough. This is what I've been looking for. It took me this long, and it takes other people forever, and it didn't take me that long, and it's from 2010. It's from 2010. It's a true story. An IEM from 2010 is the top of thing that I've ever heard in my life. And then I think about the receivers from the 70s and realize, newer is not necessarily better, and I'm holding proof of that in my hand right now. I highly, highly recommend these. These are the best things I've ever heard in my life.